Hello, so welcome to this video for COMP3218, Game Design and Development at the University of Southampton. My name is Dave Millard, I'm one of the lecturers on the course, and I'm here with...
Charles Hutchins, I'm one of the demonstrators.
So we've got a few of the students' games to look at today. So Charles, do you want to just say a little bit about what we asked the students to do?
So sure, we asked them to implement a game with a strong core dynamic and a small tutorial level to get us used to the gameplay and introduce some of the mechanics that they've programmed for us.
Brilliant. Okay, well in that case, let's go on and have a look at our first game. Okay, so our first game today is Speed Demon. Here we go. Okay, so I've got some atmospheric music and a very grey but detailed looking corridor. Press WAS to move around and normal mouse moves. It's a bit twitchy. I don't normally have my mouse sensitivity up that high, but oh my life. But yeah, it's good. Oh, move your mouse to look around. Alright, so it's telling me these things. Do you think I should go up there or do you think I should go down there? So it's a bit odd that there's an arrow there, but they've given me an option. No, I'm going to go and explore.
Yeah.
And then up here, there's a... What's that?
Yeah.
What do you think that is?
Can you collect
Pick it up? I can. Oh, there's a bonk.
Oh.
And I heard a noise. And
Oh.
the door's open. Ah, okay. Ah, collect. So, alright. So, yeah. That's interesting. So it hasn't quite worked. It's kind of... we've got there in the end. I like the prompt that's come up, and I like the fact they've given us a picture of it. But yeah, I just encountered it in the wrong order. I'm sure I played this in the expo, and I'm pretty sure I did exactly the same in the expo. Right, here we go. So let's come down here, round the corner. Press left mouse button to slow down time. Oh wow. Okay, and then I get my lozenge. What? Oh, so that's strange. So I get a lozenge, and time slows down.
Okay.
Okay. So I think they've put this here just to show us the effect, but yeah, I can't go in there. That's like a. So the music is kind of urging me onwards. It's kind of like move quickly music, but the game doesn't feel like it quite matches. Oh, hang on, what was that? Using slow-mo costs energy and increases your heart rate. Alright, so if I... Oh yeah, there we go. So I've got my slow-mo thing on the top right-hand corner. And if I slow down time, it uses up some energy. Alright. And then, that's interesting. It only... if I stand still. Alright, so telling me to stand still to regen. Step on that to set a checkpoint. Okay. That was nice. Okay. So again, I got two things off to the side and then an arrow. But presumably I can't get through that door until I've gone in these rooms and collected the keys. That'd be my guess. Press space to jump. Oh, okay. So I can go up here and up here. Blimey, it's making me trek, isn't it? Is there a run option? Okay, that's one key. So, I wonder, do you think that will open the door? Because there's another key in that room, look. So, do you think there are 4 doors? Or do you think I need 3 keys to... Because the door's not open yet, is it? Let's go and have a look. Oh, I've really slowed down for some reason. Right. No. So I'm presuming I need to get another key. I'm terrified of these rooms. They feel like the hard rooms.
Yeah.
That's Whoa. Right. Okay. Let's try this. Oh no, this was the hard room. I remember.
We'll see.
Oh, we're having a laugh. Collect crates to get more slow-mo time. All right. So I need obviously to. Oh my life.
Ooh.
Well, I mean, it kind of works, and the kind of interconnecting sine waves kind of work too. I could do with some feedback about that slow-mo, so you don't know when it's about to run out. And that's... and also there's... Although it does regenerate when you hold still, it does mean you've got quite a lot of waiting around just to regenerate your sort of slow-mo. I'm not quite sure what that does even.
So,
I think I died. Okay, at least I got my checkpoint. So now I need to go and get the... Let's not do that one. Let's do this one. Okay, while I'm doing this, shall we start...
Yes. Yeah, I see. So our first category is info design.
Yeah, see, my slow-mo ran out when I was in the middle of the... information design. Okay, so what we got going on? So we've got the slow-mo meter. We've got the arrows on the floor. I mean, that's probably more part of the tutorial, but have we got anything else going on? I haven't got any lives or anything. There's nothing telling me how many keys I have, for example.
No.
Yeah, so I don't know. What other information do I need at this point? There's something happened when I picked up that box. Kind of when my slow-mo thing went red. It's not actually clear to me what that meant.
Yeah.
So it looks to me like there's 3 in a row here, and that's why I need my extra powerful slow-mo.
Oh, I see. Is it really, really slow or something?
It just gives me infinite slow-mo for a while.
Oh.
And I've got the key. I've got to go back again now. But I haven't got infinite slow-mo. How am I going to do this? Oh, it's not helpful. So here's a question. Do I have that key or not? Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So I've managed to get the key. So I've died and I've gone back to the checkpoint, but I've got the key. All right. So look, in terms of information design, what would satisfactory be?
We've got most key information is shown, and then good is all key information is shown.
So I think, ironically, what's missing is the key information, right? I don't know how many keys I have, and I don't know how many keys I need. Otherwise, the little slow-mo thing in the top right-hand corner kind of does the job. It's a bit out of the way, and it doesn't warn me when it's about to run out. But but I still think probably satisfactory. You know, it's sort of collect those to double my movement speed. Oh, thank God for that. There we go. It's been a very long... Oh, they don't last very long. Actually, although having said that, look, I haven't got any... It doesn't tell me when my movement's going to die out either.
No.
So I don't know. I'm not sure whether that is satisfactory, really. Because there's a lot of stuff missing here, isn't there?
Yeah, there's also... I've skipped ahead and looked at the core dynamic, and there's also another bit of information that isn't shown.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, can you hear a heartbeat or anything at all?
I don't think so. No,
yeah.
I can't. Certainly not. Oh, okay, shouldn't have done that. Yeah, no, I can't hear a... Oh, what's going on now? Oh, the mouse is so fast I actually spent 360 degrees without realising it. Yeah, no, I don't think there's no heartbeat. Let's try and do this. So look, so I think, what would a pass be for information design?
So pass is some attempt at information design.
Yeah, I think it's better than that. I think that they've got that information design there and it works quite well. So maybe halfway between the two?
Yeah, that was good. Yeah.
Oh my life, it's ridiculous. Oh.
So we've got... Next is graphics.
Yeah, what do you think about the graphics?
I quite like them, to be honest. I think it's...
Oh, yeah, okay. Yes, no, I agree. I think they're, you know, it's simple but effective, isn't it? I'm not sure about the lozenge. but you know, why not? It's consistent. Yeah, no, I think they're absolutely fine, and they're very consistent. They work well. So what would a good be for graphics?
Consistent and effective.
I think it's probably there, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd say so.
And I would probably say the same for music. My only reservation with the music is that they've got this kind of... Am I not supposed to be in here or something? Oh, that's probably in general. I'm finding it very difficult to judge distances. If I go sideways, if that's a bit easier. Ah, there you go. So the only thing about the music is it's kind of it's quite fast paced, and it feels... Oh, blimey, what's that supposed to do?
Oh, it did say at the start, but I can't remember now.
And are those in front of it or behind it? They're behind it, aren't they? Ah, just turns them off.
Oh.
Handy. Oh, not forever, just temporarily. Dear. Yeah, so the music I think is fine. They've got sound effects and music, but perhaps not quite what you'd want.
Hmm.
Oh my life! Started again. So yeah, what would satisfactory be for music?
Some audio effects and music, and then a good would be complementary audio effects and music.
So I think it's... I mean, it's not terrible. So I reckon halfway between satisfactory and good.
Yeah.
It's kind of... oh, this is your heartbeat counter. It will start when you walk through the next door. Okay, so this is...
Oh, right.
0. Oh, now I can... oh, great. So yeah, now that I could hear that. I can hear a heartbeat now. Right. Oh, hang on. Ah, there's power-ups there. Let's try and get a power-up. If I can get in. Great. Caught on the door. Shot in the doorway. What's that?
That's speed.
I'm not sure that's going to help me. Oh, I've totally lost my bearings again. That's right, in this way. Right, so maybe if I go in here, can I... That's speed, and then...
Speed. And then slow-mo? Can you slow-mo and then...
Yeah. Alright, so maybe I need to...
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh, my life. Shooting me from behind now. Can I go in here? Yay! There we go. Total heartbeat 88, deaths 10. Oh, some nice jazzy music. Again, I like the fact the music's there, but it doesn't quite fit. But yeah. Okay, where have we got to?
So we were on audio, so let's go to mechanics.
Alright, so I think I'm going to have to... There's no restart, I don't think, so I'm going to have to kill the game and come back in. Just do that.
A set of consistent mechanics or a set of complementary mechanics?
So what mechanics I got? So I can move around, I can jump, I've got my slow-mo. So the only... The mechanics don't conflict or anything, they're all fine. But it does feel like they're just adding stuff, and it doesn't build, if you see what I mean. It's like, so there's like a room where I need to jump, there's a room where I need to use the speed, there's a room where I need to use the slow-mo to go through the... But the kind of... The combinations aren't perhaps there, right? And the room at the end, although it's more difficult, and we'll get to pacing later on, is more difficult just because it's not combining the things in any way. So it's not like I've got to dodge and jump, or I need the speed. You know,
yeah.
It's kind of So I think the mechanics are fine, but I'm not necessarily sure they're working enormously well together. They feel a bit independent. So what would satisfactory be for mechanics?
It'll be a set of consistent mechanics.
Yeah, so I think, yeah, I mean they're consistent. They kind of work consistently. What would good be?
Complementary mechanics. So
yeah, I think it's more at the satisfactory level.
oh, sorry. Complementary mechanics were good. Sorry.
Yeah, so I think it's more at the satisfactory level, because I just don't. Well, maybe halfway between the two, because I said it's not that they conflict. It's just that they don't build on each other as much as they might do.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, and then are we on to what, control?
On to controls. Yeah.
So it's a little bit twitchy, but that's not that bad. Otherwise, the time thing being on the button works well. Jump is fine. It feels so. Yeah, I feel like I'm fully in control. The only thing that's affecting my feeling of control is on those levels where I've got to make my way through the kind of sine waves of bullets. It's difficult to measure distance, but that's not really control. That's more of a kind of a feedback thing. So yeah, no, I think the controls are absolutely fine. So what would good be for that?
Good for controls would be just a reasonable set of smooth, usable controls. Which I think it's pretty much there.
I think that's where we are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my life is a million of them. Right. Okay. Okay, and then bugs. I don't think we've seen any bugs, have we?
No, I don't think.
I think it's working really well. So, and I think it's a reasonably complex game, which I believe will put it on excellent.
Games are reasonably complex and there are no obvious bugs. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's at the excellent level for that.
Okay, so now we're getting into goals, risks, rewards, actual level design.
Yeah.
So
I don't appear to have any speed. Oh, there we go. Yeah, goals, risks, and rewards. So my goal, I think my goal's fairly clear. They've kind of told me I have to collect the keys. I know that's what I'm about. Each area is fairly obvious from the layout what it is I need to be doing.
yeah.
There we go. I'm obviously getting better at it because I just completed it. Only 2 deaths and only 43 heartbeats. There you go. 3 stars. Yeah, so the goals I think are good. Risks and rewards are interesting. What do you think the risks and rewards are, if any?
Say you can go. I mean, I suppose there was a little bit in that last level where you could go and sneak around the corner and get a speed boost, but you might get attacked sooner, sort of thing. So one tactic would be just to kind of ignore that and go straight for it, because then you get a little bit of time before the bullets come to you.
It's not really a challenge to try and get it, is it? It's not like if you're a bit more skilled, you can go and get the. I see what you mean. Yeah, there's a little element of choice there. But I mean, it feels to me like, yeah, they're not giving me many choices really. So there's not multiple ways to tackle these. There's not. So here, for example, so one of the things they could do is they could have used a timer to kind of say how well you were doing, and they could have given me 2 different paths to this, right? One which is easy but long, and one which requires me to jump across a bunch of platforms in order to reach it. And that would have been a good goal risk reward. I can risk falling to my death, but if I make it, then I get, I get a much faster time. So I think they've not perhaps incorporated as much of that into their game as they could have done.
It feels as well like they probably just needed an extra level, because they've got these that feel a bit tutorially, because they know that there's not a heartbeat kind of thing.
I think that, yeah, you're right, and it comes down to that kind of combination of mechanics that we were talking about. So basically what's happening is that last level, although it is difficult, because it doesn't combine all the things you've learnt together, it therefore doesn't the game doesn't have anywhere where it kind of makes the most of its mechanics, and also it feels like you're missing that level. I mean, in actual fact, the amount of content in here I think is fine, right? And it's just that that last level isn't combining things together in as sophisticated a way as it probably should have done. Yeah. So okay, so goals, risks and rewards. So I think we might have a problem here. I think the goals are fine, but the risks and rewards are not great. So what would satisfaction be?
We've got
satisfactory. Sorry, be.
Got a coherent set of goals, risks and rewards.
Yeah. So I'm not sure it's quite there. I think we've got a coherent goal. What would pass be?
A limited set.
Yeah, and what would poor be?
Incoherent or very limited set.
Yeah, so I think that the risks and rewards is probably nudging towards poor, but the goals are satisfactory. So I think kind of maybe we average them out and say it's a pass. Accidentally hit the jump key instead of the slow down time key. Jump to my death. Okay, so what was the other element for this? Pacing, wasn't
it? Yes, pacing. Yeah.
So the pacing, I think is pretty good actually. So they've got that little bit at the beginning where you're just navigating, getting used to the controls. Then you get to the first couple of rooms. Arguably, this one is a bit tough, but the first one I get to, that's easy. That one is harder, right? But feels like it's the right. So I get kind of like an easy room and a hard room, and then I come down here, and I get another easy room and then another hard room. So I quite like the pacing, and then at the end that's quite challenging, that last room. So I think the pacing they get pretty much spot on actually. So what would good be for pacing?
We've got tension rises over time in a coherent pattern.
So I think they've achieved that. And what would excellent be?
Tension rises over time in a coherent and well balanced pattern.
So it's.
Is it? Well, I don't know. It's well balanced because the last level, I would say, this level and the last level are quite hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if they would have put like a few of the little paint guns in the starting one with the sine waves.
Yeah. They should have eased you. You're thinking they should have eased you into it a bit more.
Yeah, because I feel like if I'd been playing, I'd gone, oh God, Jesus, what is this?
Yeah. I think you're right. So I think we can say it's good because they've got the structure right, but it's just the actual difficulty perhaps isn't quite right. Yeah. So we can go for good. Okay, so what's our next criteria?
We have the tutorial section. Sorry, go on.
Well, no, so I was going to say, so I'm just trying to remember what happened to the tutorial. So the tutorial was basically consisted of me, in fact I think they still trigger, so these kind of messages that pop up at crucial points. So it does introduce things to you as you go. It is gradual. It tells you things you need just before you need them. I'm not sure they do it through level design though. They tend to say, at this point you need to know this, here's the thing. Right, but they do then let you demonstrate it. So what would a good be for tutorial?
Gradual explanation of gameplay and controls fully aligned with play.
I think they've achieved that then, haven't they?
Yeah.
So I'm going to try and do this without getting a speed thing. Don't think it's going to work. Yeah. So, but an excellent, presumably, is that where it says introduced through level design?
Yes, and sometimes communicated through level design. Yeah.
So I don't think they're doing it through level design. I think, so I think it's probably a good for the tutorial.
Yeah.
Okay, what's next?
Next is core dynamic.
Hear me dying repeatedly. So that's interesting. What did they put as their core dynamic? What do you think their core dynamic is?
Well, I think it's a little bit spatial reasoning, to be honest.
Yeah, that's what it feels like to me.
Yeah, until the end, where it was, by the way, now you've got a heartbeat counter.
Although you could argue that's still part of it, right? So it's the heartbeat counter is basically saying, can you defeat it without... I think your heartbeat goes up when you slow time. Oops. Yeah, so I think probably spatial reasoning. What did they say?
They said it was race to the end.
Yeah. And so why do you think there's that disparity? Why do we think it feels like spatial reasoning and they think it's race to the end?
I suppose it's because a lot of the... I think what you're thinking about when you're playing it is definitely that you need to dodge these bullets or these like paintballs, and I'm not really thinking about time. I'm not really thinking about, oh, I really need to do that. But doing it faster is like almost like a nice thing at the end, that, oh, I did that really fast, and that's a good thing, rather than core mechanic. Oh, the core dynamic is that. I don't know what you think about.
Yeah, and I think you're right. So the problem is that when you get to the end, you are presented with you died this many times, and you took this much time, I think. But you're not given that feedback at any stage during this game. So you have no idea that that's what you're doing. So you're right, when you enter this room, you're not thinking, I need to do this as quickly as possible. I'm not getting feedback when I leave the room to say, you took 30 seconds to complete the room, crystal maze-like or something. So I think that's the problem. They're not emphasising the way in which you score. It feels like I'm solving puzzles and there's no time constraint.
Yeah.
And the other reason it doesn't feel like a time thing is because I'm not solving puzzles in order to do it more quickly. So, and this comes back to the goals, risks and rewards thing. So, if for example I had an alternative route here, where I've got a left side which is like bullet hell basically, and a right side where half of them are switched off, right? But on the right side the lozenge is further away, and on the left side it's nearer. Then it works, because it's like I'm still puzzle solving. I'm still trying to spatial awareness effectively, rather than puzzle solving, but I'm still spatial awareness challenges. But now the challenge is greater in order to get less time. Whereas here, there's no way for me to the only way for me to do this quicker is for me to succeed first time, I suppose. I've got no choice, as it were. It's just down to my skills. So yeah, I think they've got a core dynamic problem going on, and it's also as a although it feels like spatial reasoning, it doesn't quite work as a spatial reasoner. And again, it's the same sort of problem. Is I'm not being rewarded for spatial reasoning, right? My only reward is to progress or not to progress. So yeah, I think they've got a little bit of a mismatch. So what would a satisfactory be for core dynamic?
Satisfactory would be a clear core dynamic.
So I don't think they've quite achieved that.
No, I think probably an attempt, which is like at the pass level.
Yeah, that feels more like it to me. Yeah. Okay. So where does that leave us? Got any?
Oh, now we have the feedback.
Feedback. So what was the feedback that they got? Did they say?
So the feedback they got was just try to focus more on core dynamic. They were going to go for chase and evade, and they wanted to reinforce the race to the end as like a clearer core dynamic.
Yeah.
They introduced a star system and the heartbeats and things to try and encourage faster play. The drones at one point were destructible, it seems, and they made them indestructible. Yeah,
so that works, because otherwise it would be sort of a strangely You know, you've got that destruction element going in. Although, again, they could have made that work. So if you'd limited the number of drones you could destroy, so then it becomes part of the puzzle solving is which drones you destroy. So I think the core dynamic thing is one of the hardest things to get right. And the way to think about it is that it's absolutely fine for a game to have multiple dynamics, but it does help if you've got a clear core dynamic and then you make sure all of the other ones are in service to that dynamic. So here we go. So if I finish now, so here we go. So the problem I've got here is I have 3 different scores, right? I've got stars, and it's not quite clear what the stars mean. I don't know what 101 plus means. I've got my heartbeats, don't know what that means either, but it seems to be something to do with my speed through, and then the number of deaths. So what am I trying to optimize here, right? Because if it's race to the end, it should be based on time, which might be heartbeats maybe, rather than deaths. So I think they could have done some better focus. So it sounds to me like they've tried to address the comments and they've been successful in that element, but they just haven't quite been successful in the other parts. They still have a core dynamic problem. So what would a satisfactory be for this, for feedback?
It's got feedback was addressed and the changes have been somewhat successful.
And a pass would be
feedback has been addressed, but the changes have had limited success.
Yeah, so I think probably halfway between the two, because one of the elements they've done has worked just about, and the other one hasn't. So yeah, halfway between the two. Right, we should move on to our next game. Right, so our next game is called Mission ECS. So presumably ECS for Electronics and Computer Science, which is our department. So, here we go. So, that's quite a nice start, isn't it? With them, I'm getting stealth game vibes. Start options, exit. What's options? Oh, there we go. Volume. Okay, I like this. It's quite nicely framed. Gives me lots of levels. Yeah, this is nice already. Your mission, should you choose to take it. You've been selected to take part in a series of challenges that will test your cunning and reasoning skills. We're doomed in that case. Here you will be challenged to extract objects from secure locations in the fastest time possible. Okay, so they told me about the time already. Beware, should you be spotted or time run out, we cannot help you. Your primary type will be gold bars, and your secondary is a stack of gold coins. Press E to begin. Okay, I love the little bit of paper aesthetic. That's great. My time's already started, so I'm feeling under pressure. So I've got 2 minutes before the alarm goes. I can see some coins up there. Oh, hold left shift. Well, why would I not be running all the time? E. So now the music has changed, but nothing's happened. But nothing's changed in terms of the timer, right? So the timer was already running down, yeah.
And the music changed, yeah.
So I wonder why it did that. Like you might expect the timer to start when I grab my first gold bars, and then the music changes to let me know the timer's going. Right. Okay, so we get those, but you know, fairly straightforward to start with. The graphics are very nice, by the way. Although it's a little bit cumbersome to get around, I like the way it looks. It's great. Mission complete. I got $300, multiplier for finishing, okay, and a multiplier for not being seen. Well done. Alright, there we go. So I like that, okay, and it's setting out, so I need to be fast, I need not to be seen, I need to get lots of money. Right. I just think outside of the box. You dropped into your compound, be faced with your first enemy operative, make sure you're not spotted. The closer you are, the sooner you'll be spotted. Okay, so again, that's going down. Can I get gold bars from on top of there? Take hold of a light brown box. So I can move the boxes, can I, by... Oh, mission failed. Oh, you were seen. Oh, okay. That's strange. So, I didn't realise I could be seen behind the box. Aha. Alright. can press space to jump on top of it. E. Okay. So is that stop scanning now then? Why is that stop scanning? Can I maybe move? Oh no, it's going again. Can I move the box? Can I like hide behind a box while it... No. Oh crikey, and it sees you instantly.
I think it was something about holding control to crouch behind. But yeah, it's not very clear.
I missed that.
It feels like... I think that's what it said. It feels like you are seen over a box, even though it's not so clear. Maybe if the boxes were a little bit shorter,
yeah,
would have been.
So if I can, oh yeah, so I can. Oh okay, I can do. All right, I completely missed that it said I could crouch. So
the info screen. I was going to say the info screens. It off to the left sometimes. You miss them, don't you? If they were like in the middle,
yes,
it would have been better.
Ah, it's too slow. Hang on, you dropped me. Sure, it's behind. So it doesn't tell me there. So it says take a light brown box by pressing E. I can jump on it by pressing space. You can cry. Oh, there you go. There's the bit that tells you can do it. So now I've got to wait for it to get back up there. To avoid it using control. Right. Okay, but I can't move while crouching. I can. It's one or the other.
Mm.
I like the graphical effect of the sight arc.
Mm.
Ooh, there we go. Oh, I've got press control, have I? There we go. Alright, and we're through. Okay. Next level. If you survive the previous challenge, this will be your final test. This mission will put what you learned about enemies in the last mission. Your target is guarded by a pair of cameras. You must sabotage those cameras, extract the asset, and outwit the guards. Okay. So I've got this kind of green thing. Ah, yeah, you're right. I'm completely ignoring that text up on the top left. Disable the cameras by breaking the fuse box by pressing E in their vicinity, and the guard will come to fix them. Alright. Okay, so presumably I can do this one.
Interesting. So behind that one, that's a 2 box, so you're not seen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. And now he's turned both of them on. That's a bit irritating. But I did get here. So if I... Oh, he saw me. Alright. So what do you think I have to do here? So if I turn... So those 2 boxes will turn those off. But I need both of them off. Is it telling me anything that I don't know? So I could lure the guard out with that one. Do I have to like go back and do the other one as well?
I was going to say sprinting. It might be a sprinting.
Oh, I forgot about the sprint. Yeah, because I've got to go down here and turn this off. Ah.
Yeah.
Okay. So while I'm struggling with this, shall we
Oh yes, so good.
Shall we start going through the criteria?
So info design. We have a satisfactory being most key information is shown, and a good being all key information is shown.
So but now it's going to turn back on again. So I've got where have I got to go? Oh, there's the exit there. Right, okay. So what have I got? So I've got the counter in the top left-hand corner.
Mm.
that's a nice bit of information design, obviously. I've got the cones of light, which are very good, and they also change colour when you start being detected, so that is also very effective, I think.
Mm.
There we go. Done it. Next level. The real field. Okay, good luck. So, oh yeah, okay. This is nice. This is now bringing together all of the things that I've previously learned. Yeah. So in terms of the information design, so yeah, the cones of light are good. The thing in the top right hand corner, that works. Where am I going? Yeah. So. Where's that? Over there. Sorry, I couldn't quite see the thing, but won't that attract a guard? Oh, won't let me turn it off.
This happened in the expo as well. Yeah, he explained that for that one is a bug. Yeah, he didn't quite know why it switched back on again.
Oh, that's a shame. Right, I'll see if I can do the rest of it. Yeah, so for information design, anything missing here? I don't think there's anything missing. It's kind of quite nice with the way it's all...
I like the fact that you've got secondary objectives, and you know.
Oh, you saw me. Yeah. Yeah, so it kind of... So what would a good be?
So a good is all key information is shown.
I kind of feel that's where we are, isn't it?
Yeah. Excellent would be all key information is shown clearly. I'm not sure it's clearly from what we've said before, because we said, it would be nice if what we were saying about the crouch, you didn't see that there's a lot of text to read.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I think it's probably the good level. It does the job, but I was wondering if I could block these guards off, to be honest. Do you think they'd notice if a huge crate suddenly appeared behind them?
Oh, he moved
them? Yeah.
He pushed them.
Shove the guard out of the way. The inexplicable. I wonder if that's worked. Ah! Oh no, that's quite fiddly. So that's annoying. So that's because I couldn't see couldn't see where I was. Yeah, so where we get to. So for that, I think probably good is about right. So in terms of graphics are really nice. Nice and consistent. Works well. Run away. So the only one that's shame about this one up here. Yeah, so the graphics are good. So what would and pretty atmospheric actually. So I don't think I can be able to do this because I can't turn that off. No, that's a shame. I might have to maybe restart the game and see if I can get a different result. Yeah, so what would excellent be for graphics?
Excellent for graphics would be consistent, effective, and appealing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think it looks really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good. And the audio. So again, the audio is quite nice. The only thing that's weird is the change, the change in the audio for no reason, as far as I can tell. It's just odd that when you pick something up. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if I can just shove these guys out of the way. Go on, clear off. Oh no, you saw me. Yeah. So what would good be for audio?
Good for audio would just be complementary audio effects and music.
So I think they've definitely got that.
Mm.
Um,
Excellent is complementary and appealing.
I mean, it is appealing. It's just got that weird inconsistency.
Yeah.
So maybe halfway between the two.
Yeah.
So hide. Okay, so that would take us on to meaningful play, I guess.
Yeah. So we've got mechanics. I think mechanics are quite good. You can pick up boxes, and I think movement is quite good, and you're not too fast, you're not too slow.
Yeah.
I suppose there's not really much point to moving slowly. I suppose in some instances you might want to.
Just made it. Yeah. That I think that probably comes down to controls, because
yes, yeah.
Because there's no reason for me not to run everywhere, basically. Which is because they're not attracted by my running, so yeah. So in terms of mechanics, then. Oh, that's a shame. All right, but we've seen the rest of it, so we know what we should be doing. So yeah, so in terms of mechanics, so I can jump, I can move crates, I can toggle switches. You've got the evasion mechanism. So yeah, I think there's quite a lot going on actually, and they all fit together, and they're demonstrated how they fit together in this scenario. So what would excellent be for mechanics?
It would be a wide set of complementary mechanics.
I keep hitting caps lock. Yeah, I think we're there, aren't we?
Yeah.
I'm gonna try a different level maybe, because I know these ones can work. So okay, so what's next?
Controls. So we've got reasonable set of smooth usable controls. Yeah, I'd say.
So what's that, the good level?
That was good, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. They're I find them a little bit fiddly, and partly that's because I just have to press left shift permanently, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And crouch. I can't remember what crouch was now. Oh, crouch was. Yeah, crouch is control, which is strange. But that might just be because I've been playing Cyberpunk, and crouch is a C in Cyberpunk. So that's just my muscle memory not behaving. Yeah, so I like the controls, but they don't feel intuitive, perhaps. So what would a good be?
A good would be reasonable set of smooth usable controls. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's where we are. I think. If I can, I'm still intrigued as whether I could just shove these guys out of the way. I reckon I probably could.
I think you probably can.
If I can just get them in there. Go on.
That's it.
And put you in there as well. Yeah, there we go. And then you won't be able to get out either, will you?
Yeah, true.
The thing starts up. What was that in? Oh, it's an exit. Oh, okay. Oh, so I can exit without doing the thing. Alright. So what happens when I do this now then? Oh. Oh no, that's doing it now. That's frustrating. Okay, I wonder why it does that. It was working beforehand. Alright. Well, I'm just going to exit. Might as well have enjoyed myself. So, sorry, where were we?
We're on bugs now. Yeah.
Yeah, so, okay. So, unfortunately, we do have a bug. It's not game breaking, but it does happen. So what was it? What's a good for bugs?
Game is reasonably complex, but there are infrequent minor bugs. Yeah.
I think it's kind of there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Kind of, it's not, yeah, it's a shame, but it's there. Alright, so we can still have good. I mean, it's very playable. It's just that one little problem that just is yeah, getting in the way. Yeah, let's do that one again. Annoying. Okay, so what's next?
Goals, risks, rewards.
So this is kind of interesting. So my goal's very clear, right? And I've actually got a reasonable set of risks and rewards in that I can choose whether or not to this is great, I have to say. I can choose whether or not I'm going to get all the gold, right? So I can exit early. I've also got multiple ways that I can solve the problems. Oh, have I pushed him into the container? Yeah. There you go. I can see you deal with that, Sonny Jim. Right, okay. Let's see if I can turn these off. Go on, come on, let me in. Yeah. Oh look, they're inside the containers now. Oh no, that one doesn't work. Are they? Unless they're turning them back on again because they're near enough in the crates. Alright, I'll play with it. Yeah, sorry, where were we? Just terribly distracted.
Yeah, goals, risks, rewards. So yeah, we've got a main objective.
Oh, it was seen. Okay. Yeah. So yeah. So I think my goal's very clear. Risks and rewards. I've got multiple ways of solving the puzzles, and some of them may result in me getting less score. So I think I've got a reasonable set of risks and rewards. So what would good be?
Good would be a clear and coherent set of goals, risks, rewards.
Yeah. So I think we're there. What would an excellent be?
Clear, coherent, and well balanced.
Yeah, I'm not. So this is what I mean about the control. So what I'm trying to do here is stand up, push the crate a bit closer towards him, and then crouch down again. Yeah, and I can't do it. It's like it's too fiddly. I'll try again. Yeah. So sorry. What would excellent be for goals, risks, and rewards?
So it will be a clear, coherent, and well balanced.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure it counts as that.
So good is clear and coherent. I suppose it is clear and there are multiple paths to the level, aren't there? And I feel that you could do things. You know, one player will do things one way and another one will do another.
Yeah.
I see you're demonstrating a lot of skill here by doing this because this. So for the more skillful player,
yeah,
they could do more direct brute forcey kind of, but then be a bit more stealthy.
Got me.
Doing less time. It feels like the clock ticking down isn't. I think it probably should be the other way round. If that makes sense.
Yeah. So it's what you mean going up. So it gives me a sense of how quickly I can solve the level.
Yeah, because
I'd agree.
sitting down I know it feels like, I suppose they don't want to rush you in a sense, but like, oh, by the way, you should really do this in 5 minutes, sort of thing.
Oh, here we go. I'm up here now. Oops. Does he spot me? Do you spot me if I'm up here? Oops. Run away! Run away! I wonder if I can maybe use this because I can't obviously get in there, but I could perhaps I could use my trick. It's going to be quite tricky. I demonstrated failing straight away. Yeah, so I think the goal. I think we're still on goals, risks, rewards, aren't we? I think that I think they're at the good level. But they've not quite got it up to the excellent. It feels kind of, yeah. I don't know whether it's partly just that little bit of refinement on when you're spotted and those kinds of things. maybe that would open up a bit more possibility, or it could be in the design, but it just doesn't feel quite right.
Okay.
So if we say that was good,
yeah. So the next one is pacing.
So pacing, so I think that works quite well. So I've got the levels all build really nicely. I'm kind of introduced to some of the simple stuff first. I've just got to navigate, and then I get the chest and the crate rather, and then I have to avoid the security camera, and I get a live person, and then it kind of culminates in this very complex level. So yeah, I think the pacing's really nice actually. What would be an excellent for pacing?
Tension rises over time in a coherent manner, and it's in a well balanced pattern.
Yeah, I think they've achieved that. Yeah, it's good.
So the next category is the tutorial.
So the tutorial. If I get myself caught, can I go back into the tutorial to remind ourselves what it was like? So start. So the tutorial basically is set up by this mission statement, which I like. It's a bit wordy, but I like. And then I've got my objectives, and it gives me my stuff at the top there. So I think I would a little bit rather it was some of the things were integrated into the level a bit more. So I don't mind my current objective being at the top right. That's quite nice. But the kind of instructions of what to do, they're a little bit out of the way. But it's introduced gradually as I need it. So yeah. So what would good be for tutorial?
It would be gradual explanation of gameplay and controls fully aligned with play.
So I think that's true actually. They do. Yeah. And what would excellent be?
It would be gradual explanation of gameplay and controls fully aligned with play, and sometimes communicated through level design.
So I don't think they're communicated. I think they're demonstrated through level design. I mean, you could argue that this, for example, so I can't progress. I can jump over it, I guess. Yeah, I can jump over it, can't I? But that's almost an attempt to do it. So maybe halfway between good and excellent. You know, they've tried to do it through level design, but not quite pulled it off.
Yeah.
Certainly, the levels are set up so that you learn. You demonstrate the skills as you need them. Okay, so where does that take us to? So that was tutorial. So next would be core dynamic.
Yes.
So what did they think for their core dynamic?
So they said spatial reasoning.
So that feels completely right to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think what happens if I jump that? Yeah, no, spatial reasoning, all of the mechanics are pulling in that direction. There's an element of collection, but it's part of the spatial reasoning system. So yeah, I think they've got a nice set here. So what would excellent be for?
It would be a clear core dynamic that is supported by an integrated set of mechanics. Yeah.
Which I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they've got there. What would what would the prizeworthy level be?
It would be a clear core dynamic that is supported by an integrated set of mechanics and other supporting dynamics.
So
is there another supporting dynamic?
I think they're getting towards that because of the collection element that's integrated with the puzzle design. I think it's quite nice. I would put them halfway onto the net onto prizeworthy. I think it's good. They're a nice job. Yeah. Okay, so that takes us to feedback.
Right.
Uh,
Response.
do that. I'm going to see if this is fixed yet.
Oh, so interestingly, the feedback received on our live session was the chord dynamic was too unclear.
Okay.
Feedback from the live session said there was too many chasing and evading mechanics in comparison to the number of spatial reasoning mechanics. In order to fix this, we manipulated the current mechanics and added a number of new mechanics. First one, remove the enemy's chase function.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. I could, because obviously it's a stealth game. There's obviously a lot of evading going on. But yeah, that's a shame. I think I could get in there. Yeah, no, I think they've done that very successfully. That worked.
They also added security security cameras added to our chosen dynamic because it allowed us to have the player reason about space and the levels to avoid detection.
Yeah, very good. Yeah. So they by removing the running away element, basically, they emphasised the stealth and how to get through the level. And I think that worked really well.
They said they added a countdown. They added a countdown to failure conditions other than being caught.
Okay, so that's the thing at the top left-hand corner.
Yeah.
But why did they do that?
They added a countdown to failure conditions. We also added We manipulated the objective system to put a much greater emphasis on locating objectives and escaping the level than on avoiding being spotted. Okay. So I suppose before they were kind of going almost a race to the end.
Right, okay.
Maybe they were doing chasing evade race to the end.
So that's probably why they don't have the counter going up then, which is what we talked about earlier on. Is they felt that if they did that, they would yeah,
it would be more of a race to the end, which is true. That is
yeah.
I suppose you could have a timer. Yeah. So you could have a timer without actually having any points associated with it, but then
I think the problem is, as I get close to them, their thing gets slower.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. So I think they've dealt with their feedback quite nicely, actually. So what would excellent be for feedback?
Feedback has been interpreted and addressed, and the changes have been successful.
Yeah, I think they've definitely achieved there. So what would be prizeworthy?
Feedback has been interpreted and imaginatively addressed. The successful changes.
Yeah, I wouldn't say imaginatively. I think they've taken radical action to fix their game. Like, if you're actually removing mechanics from the game, then that's quite a strong thing to do, and that's worked very well. But I wouldn't perhaps say it's gone as high as that. But still, exceptional. Yeah, really, very good.
Yeah.
Okay, shall we move on to our next game? Right, so our last game is called Night Run. Here we go. Press W to jump. I've fallen to my death. Okay, so it's press G to continue to the game, R to reset the tutorial. Okay, so if I press R, so W to jump. There we go. W to jump. I recognise this asset pack. Oh, double jump. Okay, it is telling me stuff, but it's telling me stuff just slightly too late.
Yeah.
I'm reading it. Your speed will increase over time. Press Q when your ability is ready to slow down time. Q. Okay. How do I know? Oh, time warp ready. Okay. When do I need that then?
Oh.
So okay. So I don't know what. Okay. G. So I think that's my tutorial. So I think there was a thing in the bottom right hand corner. Oh dear.
Okay, then it was time warp there.
Yeah. Press any key to replay. Right, so the minute it feels like we've got a red... Oh, okay, sure. Also, why are the buildings floating in midair?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's a small thing to worry about. Okay, it's time warp. So there's the slow down time. What use is that?
Yeah.
What's that up there, do you think?
Oh, okay.
Oh dear.
I'm not sure that's supposed to happen.
No, it feels like... Okay. Yep, I think that's all gone a bit wrong. Alright, let's start. I'll try reloading it. Here we go. I'm ready for it this time. Press W to jump. There we go. In fact, I'm doing a double jump by accident, I think. Yeah, which is odd. So if you keep the W button pressed down, it does the double jump. Which means if you don't want to do a double jump, fell to my death. Yeah, buildings don't. Yeah. Okay, so here we are. So am I in the game now or in the tutorial? I'm not quite sure. No, this is the tutorial.
Okay, yeah.
Right. There also seems to be a thing to collect in the main game as well, though it didn't mention it in the tutorial.
Yes.
And I still don't understand what the slowdown time is for, really. It doesn't give me any other abilities. Oops. Oh dear. Oh, that's finished. Okay. Okay.
So yeah, it doesn't give you the ability to restart. So I'm guessing by that time the tutorial is over.
Yes, I think so. Pressing key to play. Okay, that's interesting.
Because everything slows down when you time warp, doesn't it? So
I think so.
I don't.
Also, is it me or is this a randomly generated level? I think. Am I getting the same level again and again? I'm not, am I? Yes, okay.
Oh, that might be the same.
Oh, no, that is the same, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's stuff floating above me. But is that anything?
I think that's supposed to be. Is that something about mind the drones or something at one point? But I think
Mind the what? The drums?
it was. Yeah, it was something in the tutorial about. Oh, by the way, there are drones now. But I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right. So there's supposed to be drones floating around.
I think
Is
that's
that a
what I saw.
cloud? Or is that a drone? What is that? Is that? Yeah. Some of this is odd as well. It feels. I'm guessing it's possible. I'm trying to figure out whether I'm just not very good at it, or whether some of this is actually not possible.
Oh, I see what you mean by it, Rat, because that jump was bigger than it was before.
Yeah.
So, maybe you're right, maybe it is sort of, maybe the spacing is auto-generated. Maybe, or, I don't know.
Ah, you think... Yeah, but that is... Definitely had that before.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, given we had that weird crash where everything all piled up onto each other, I wonder what's happening is whether there's a pre-ordered set of things that are coming in at a particular level, but the timing is programmatic and is a little bit buggy.
Mm.
Ah, yeah. So, okay. I think we've seen the core of the game. It's a kind of endless runner. Still don't quite understand the drones, but we'll get to that. Should we start making our way through the criteria? Oops.
Yeah.
Okay. So, first up, I guess, we have got information design.
Mm.
So we've got a nice big score at the top. We've got a time warp power that appears in the bottom bottom left-hand corner.
Yeah.
And that's quite nice. It kind of fades in over time. Has that kind of strange sort of blurred writing effect.
Yeah. Quite nice.
So that kind of works. Not sure what. Not an awful lot going on though. So what would a satisfactory be for information design?
Most key information is shown.
Yeah. So what would a pass be?
Yes, yeah, drone was inside that building.
Yeah, it was,
sorry.
wasn't it?
So a good would be all key information is shown. I suppose it is knocking on good.
Yeah, I think the problem is there's just not very much to show. Right?
Yeah.
And you could argue that so there's a couple of things that it's not showing me, right? So it's not and that was odd. That looked like a bug as well. I think I was killed by a drone, but I just keep on running. So, for example, how far through the level am I? If there is a level. What stage am I at? If there is a stage. What's the next building coming along? Right? Are there other drains coming along? So there's lots of information that it could be showing me that it's not showing me. So I think that it's showing me the key stuff fine, but it's not showing me quite enough. Because you want to be giving me more information to enable a skilled player to actually use that information in their play, right? So yeah, so I think maybe a satisfactory for information design. Graphics. Now this is interesting because there's bits I really like. The animation is cool, and I know it's an asset they've got, but they've got it working well. And the timing for the jumps and everything is really nice. The writing is really good and in line with the pixel art. And gone with that kind of neon aesthetic for the writing as well, so that's all good. The buildings themselves are a bit fuzzy. I think they've those assets should not be as big as that, right? I'm guessing. So that's maybe a little bit of a shame. But it looks pretty tidy. What would a satisfactory be?
Just consistent graphics.
Yeah, and good would be consistent and appealing, but
and effective.
So I think it's not quite there, but it's getting towards good, I would say. Oh, there we go. Yeah, let's see. So that's definitely buildings being generated on the right and then coming onto the screen on the... Yeah, so maybe halfway between the two.
Yeah. I feel like they possibly may not have play tested this as much as...
Do you think I should be getting further than this?
No, as in like because I'm guessing because we've had that same bug twice now.
Yes. Well, it might be just that they couldn't get rid of it. I mean, you never know.
Yeah, it's true.
I haven't used my ability to slow down time at all, but I don't really feel like I need my ability to slow down time. Maybe that's why I'm doing so badly.
There we go, drone lasers.
Oh, I died. Oh, that was a drone there, was it? Yeah. Okay. I mean, and the music as well. The music's actually pretty good. It fits. I've got sound effects. Music's alright. So what's a good for music?
Complementary audio effects and music.
Yeah, I think
it does it, doesn't it? Yeah.
I think it's there. Yeah. So I think when we get to some of the other bits, we'll have to be a bit more problematic. But in terms of the presentation, I think they've done a pretty decent job. So then we get to mechanics. Now mechanics is a bit more problematic because I have two mechanics, three arguably. I can jump, I can double jump, and I can time warp. The time warp doesn't really do anything. It slows down time, but I wouldn't say my reaction time is the problem here. My problem is that, or at least it's not. It's more that I'm not looking ahead enough, right? So it's a skill problem, but it's not a reaction time problem. So it doesn't actually help me to have a slow down time thing. What would help me would be, an actual power that was useful, like a kind of I don't know, a drone comes and picks me up, for example, right?
Yeah. Or I was thinking like a jetpack or something.
Yeah,
like that.
Exactly. Yeah, jetpack or jet boots, but they take time to recharge.
Yeah.
So if I fall down a hole, I've got a safety net, right? Or I can use it for a super big jump, right? Yeah. Okay. So I think in terms of mechanics, I think they're quite limited. What would a pass be for mechanics?
A set of inconsistent mechanics.
So yeah, I think with the time warp, I think that's where it is, right? It just kind of doesn't quite work, and it's also quite a small set. So I think we're probably at the pass level. What about controls? So I've got 2 keys. So the controls are very limited. Also, if I press W too long, it does a double jump when I don't want to. Also, it's not very forgiving. Like, did you see there? I hit the side of the building and then double jumped, and it didn't take me over the building.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of, you know, always err on the side of empowering the player, basically. So I think yeah, the controls feel a bit limited and not particularly forgiving. So again, what would a pass be for controls?
Few or challenging controls.
Yeah, I think that's where we are, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, now bugs. So we do have a game. Well, it's sort of a game-breaking bug. I think it happens when I'm dying anyway. So you could argue that I'm already on my way out of the game when it happens, but it definitely occurs. It's probably. I mean, what would satisfactory be? Because the other issue here is about the complexity of the game, right?
Yeah, I think that's why we're not going to get satisfactory. Because satisfactory's game is reasonably complex, but there are minor bugs.
Yeah, I don't think it quite gets there, does it? So what would a pass be?
Yeah, game is simple, or there are some serious bugs.
And what we've got is a simple game with some minor bugs, I would argue. So I think we're probably not at a poor, but we're maybe halfway between a poor and a satisfactory. Sorry, poor and a pass.
Yeah.
For that reason. So we've got a simple game and it's got bugs in it. So yeah, I think that's where we are. Okay, so goals, risks, and rewards. What is my goal? Get as far as I can, I suppose, and get as high a score as possible.
Yeah.
So, simple goal, but fine.
Yeah.
I don't think it's ever kind of articulated to me. I don't have any premise or reason for what I'm doing. But it's relatively clear. Goals, risks, and rewards, though. Are there any risks and rewards here?
Well, you don't really take a risk to do something better, if that makes sense. Like, you don't sort of like, oh, I can, if I jump on the side of this building, I can get some jetpack boots to get me somewhere else.
I think the game, this is where sometimes if a game is very simple, they have real difficulty hitting some of the things we want. And I think this is the problem. The game's so simple that they haven't been able to put any risks and rewards in. There's no rewards. There's no. I'm not collecting anything. I'm not getting power-ups. There's no. I mean, there are enemies, but I get no choices about routes to go on. You know, so I can't decide. Or I can go down the bottom and have difficult jumps, or I can go up the top and have simple jumps, but there's enemies to avoid. There's nothing. So I think actually, risks and rewards are almost absent. The only thing that's in here is to do with kind of making the moment-to-moment decision about which scraper to jump onto, which tower, and that's very minimal. So while the goals are there, so I think we've got a little bit of a mix. So what would a poor be?
Incoherent or very limited set of goals, risks, and rewards.
I think there just aren't any. They're absent, really. So what would be below poor?
It would be no serious attempts at establishing goals, risks, or rewards.
So I think they've not really done much with the goals to establish it, but there is a goal. So maybe halfway between the two, just to reflect the fact that the goal is very clear. But yeah, risks and rewards are absent. They just needed not much. Didn't need much more in here. right? You know, just putting some collectibles, you'd have automatically got it, right? Because it's like, do I go for that collectible or not, or do I try to make the jump? You know, and that would make it a lot better. Okay, so now we're talking about pacing. I can't see anything other than the introduction of the drones, which happens almost immediately. It may be that I'm not getting far enough, but I'm suspicious that that's it, right?
Yeah.
In which case the pacing is pretty much entirely flat. So what would a pass be for pacing?
So it would be tension somewhat rises over time. It doesn't really even... It rises once.
I mean, and I said it's almost immediately, right? It's within seconds. And in fact, I mean, there's a natural sort of tension that rises over time because your score goes up. So if you like, the stakes for making a mistake get bigger.
Yeah.
It's kind of built into Endless Runners, isn't it? But we're pushing it a bit. So what you just said was a pass, wasn't it? So what would be a poor?
We've got variations in tension, but no coherent pattern over time. And then absent is pacing is flat.
Yeah, I think halfway between the two, we get a little bit of variation, but over time. But it's not coherent, and mostly it's flat. So it's not quite absent, but it's getting there.
Okay, I was going to say, what do you remember your highest score was? Was it about 1,000? Was it?
Yeah, I think so.
So by 1,000, you definitely expect there to be something like a new enemy or if there's drones, introduced very early on, you'd have thought by 1,000 about this level actually.
Yeah, you think so? Well, I mean, to be honest with you, what they've done is it feels like it's mid-range difficulty immediately. So what I should be doing is I should be getting up to 3,000 or 4,000 with just some simple towers, right? Maybe not even having any holes, just negotiating platforms, trying to dodge the drones, and then I start getting holes between the towers. You know? So I think the problem is I'm already. It feels like I'm in the middle of the game now. Immediately.
Yes.
So yeah, I think it's a problem. Okay, so tutorial. So the tutorial was I'm gonna restart the game so you can see it again. Here we go. So if I remember rightly, it dropped me straight in and said press W to jump. And then it says I can still double jump. And then it says WW to double jump. And then it tells me about the time warp to slow down time.
Speed will increase over time. Oh.
Your speed will increase over time. Press Q and abilities. Okay, so that's kind of the pacing then. Is it's kind of because you're getting faster. Okay, so what did we give them for pacing?
Oh.
Going back to pacing.
We gave them. Sorry, I was just thinking that there was just no more towers left for you. There's variations in tension, but no coherent pattern over time is poor, and then pass is tension somewhat rises over time.
I mean, to be honest, although they've said that, I can't actually notice it getting any faster.
No, I can't either, and there's no indication of that either.
No. All right, I think we keep it as it was. For the tutorial, then, so we've got kind of we've got prompts on screen telling us to press, but they're not, but they're not linked with the level, right? So, as far as I could tell, they're not anyway. And obviously they're very basic because I've only got two buttons. So what would a pass be for tutorial?
It'd be an attempt at some explanation of gameplay and controls.
Yeah, I think they're there, and they've got a special tutorial section. So I think that's a pass. What would be?
Oh, sorry, that was poor. Sorry,
that was poor. What would be a pass?
Pass would be gradual explanation of gameplay and controls revealed to you as you play.
Almost. Maybe halfway between the two.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they do that, but it's so brief and they're so simple that there's not much to reveal, is there?
No.
Okay. So what about the core dynamic? What do they think their core dynamic is?
It's survival.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's true.
Yeah.
So the problem is that it's the simplicity is going to get them, isn't it? Because yes, it's survival. That's supported by the difficult jumps between the towers and the fact that you're always pushing onwards and you're rewarded for how far you get. So all of that works, but there's nothing to support it. So there's no choices you make that might make your survival easier as you go ahead. So there's nothing you collect that gives you sort of ability, power-ups that would help you survive even better, right? Or again, it's because the complexity is missing. Okay, so all right, but what would satisfactory be for a core dynamic?
Satisfactory would be a clear core dynamic that is partially supported by the primary mechanics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of. Again, we're struggling because it's the simplicity. So what we're thinking is, yes, the core mechanic does support it, but there is nothing else, right? There's nothing else in it. But I think we can still say that for this element, it's satisfactory. And then lastly, their feedback. What was the feedback they got?
So they originally had plans to include a shop mechanic where you could collect coins and buy outfits for the character with some added depth.
Right.
I'm guessing I don't know if they mean it's just cosmetic or whether it affects play.
Sounds like it's cosmetic, doesn't it?
They said it might convolute the core dynamics, so focused instead of other mechanics like time warp, which enhances the survival experience.
Yeah. So I think their problem there was the shop would have worked, and it would have helped them with their pacing as well, because you'll get to a certain point and then you'll get to a shop and you'll have a break, right? But what you needed to buy at the shop was things that mechanically affected the game, not just outfits. So you have and then you give a choice. It's like, oh, I could buy my, I could buy my jetpack, so I have a super big jump at some point, or I could buy my emergency drone recovery, so effectively gives me an extra life. If I die, a drone comes and grabs me and drops me back on the landscape. And then I have some choices, right? And as soon as I have some choices, there's a kind of risk-reward thing going on as well, because I can then say, well, do I collect money in order to buy the upgrades or not? Right. So yeah, I think a shop mechanic, even if it was really simple, would have made a massive difference to this game had you been buying mechanical effects.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interestingly, they even said in their feedback that they need to increase the difficulty of the game over time.
Yeah.
Yeah. To create the sense of increasing achievement of survival. To be honest, there is an increasing achievement of survival, because I think it's the concentration needed throughout the whole.
Yeah, like I said, it's sort of built into this Endless Runner, isn't it? But
yeah.
But they needed, and again, I think the reason they struggled a bit was because they started too high. So if you'd started off more simply, and that would also have helped because you could start off more slowly, right, and then speed up. Whereas if you sped up now, it would be a bit strange. Yeah, and maybe I'm just not getting far enough to see the speed effect. It's entirely possible. Yeah.
I think okay. By this score you probably should be, shouldn't you? I would say.
Yeah. So okay, so if that's their feedback, so it was what? So it was the trying to get the thing to speed up, and then so the shop thing they didn't do. So what was that? What were they trying to do with that element?
So they were trying to do it so you collect coins and then you can buy outfits for the character for some added depth. So it's
But what was the feedback they actually received?
The feedback was to instead focus on other mechanics like the time warp, which introduces ability.
So I think what the feedback is the feedback is saying don't do something that's aesthetic, do something that actually affects the gameplay.
Yes.
But the problem is the time warp doesn't affect the gameplay really. So that's where they've gone wrong. So I'm not sure. Kind of feels to me that they haven't understood the feedback, or they haven't interpreted the feedback properly. You know, the advice was saying don't go and implement this whole other section to the game. Keep it simple. Add some extra mechanics to the main game. But unfortunately, the time warp doesn't do what they needed it to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, yeah. I mean, the thing I would probably have done that would just make this much better, I think, is I'd have put some collectibles in here, and then if you really wanted to keep it simple, I would do something like every 10 collectibles you get an extra life. Right, and now immediately I've got a bit more interest. I can now. Am I getting the collectibles to get my extra life, or am I just trying to survive on the buildings? You know. So that kind of mechanic, a collectible mechanic, would have worked, whereas the time warp mechanic doesn't work because it just slows the game down and the gameplay stays exactly the same. So okay, what would a satisfactory be for feedback?
It would be feedback that was addressed and the changes have been somewhat successful.
Yeah, I don't think that's quite up there. So what about a pass?
Feedback was addressed, but the changes have had limited success.
And yeah. And what would a poor be?
Feedback was not addressed well, although some other positive changes have been made.
Yeah, I kind of feel it's more like that level, isn't it? You know, they have made changes, but it's not been addressed properly, I think. Yeah. Okay, so I think this is a good example of if you do a very simple game, it's hard to demonstrate all the things that we're asking for. But actually, it doesn't take much more. Like I said, just adding in collectibles would have made a big difference, I think, to a whole range of the things you've discussed. And getting rid of that time warp mechanic and replacing it with something like a collectible, or even it doesn't even have to be collectible, I suppose. It could be like a super jump that recharges. Right? That would have made a difference too. So.
Yeah.
Okay, that was our last game. So thank you for listening, and we will see you in the next video.